Harvard Law School Professor Emeritus and author of the book, Get Trump, The Threat to Civil Liberties, Due Process, and Our Constitutional Rule of Law, Alan Dershowitz joins me. Good evening. And tell me, the superseding indictment, we have superseding indictments in many cases, but do you find anything unusual about this one at all? Is there anything suspect about it or questionable about it?
Like the prosecutor has flipped a witness, and that witness is prepared to testify that Trump ordered him to erase tapes. That's pretty serious, as the old expression goes. Not the crime, it's the cover-up. So if I were President Trump, I'd be concerned about that. Just to get back to the other thing you mentioned, I predicted on this network and other places that the Biden deal would not be accepted by the judge. And of course, CNN scoffed at that. And CNN always gets it wrong because they don't make predictions, they make wishful thinking. But I predicted that it would happen. I also predict that she will ultimately accept the deal. But what a tragedy that we're in America today. We're a year or so, a couple of months away from the election. And all we're talking about is who's the worst criminal. Are the Democrats worse criminals or the Republicans? We need to stop focusing on criminalizing the criminal justice system, weaponizing it against political enemies, and get back to blind justice, where people are prosecuted not because of who they are, but what they've done.
Well, you may be more of a visionary than the rest of us. I will defend my own haunt, CNN, it goes back 20-some years, on this, is that I actually thought that the plea would be accepted because judges routinely just sort of accept the pleas offered by the prosecution. But at the time, none of us had seen the written deal that they had. That was the big surprise, is when they sprung the deal on us. We see that on this plea agreement for Hunter Biden, you first got the 2 misdemeanors contained in the plea agreement, and then you've got this side agreement that with the diversion on the felony dropped down, not to a misdemeanor to diversion, in which they plug in paragraph 15, which I've never seen before, which was the most incredible blank check. All the stuff they'd ever done immunity. That's what has set everybody on fire. And the judge, it lit the judge on fire. And obviously you had more vision on this than the rest of us.
Well, I smelled a rat and she smelled a rat. What happened here? It's so obvious. They had an oral agreement, a handshake. Oh, he's not going to be prosecuted, but we don't want to put it up front in the agreement because it'll sound too much like a sweetheart deal. So let's understand that he's not going to be prosecuted. Then the defense lawyers made a mistake, and they went out and they bragged about it, and they announced it. And the Justice Department has said, whoa, wait a minute. We didn't give him a blanket immunity. We're still investigating. And that's what tipped off the judge that there was a real problem. But she hasn't done her complete job yet. She has to call Merrick Garland and David Weiss in front of her under oath and say, look, Garland has said that Weiss had full authority to investigate wherever the money went, in Los Angeles, in Washington, D.C., Burisma, Ukraine, China. And apparently, Weiss told friends, a bunch of them, and there were some notes to that effect, no. I was restricted. I could only investigate in tiny Delaware. So the two questions are, who's right? And the most important question is, if Weiss says he had the authority to investigate outside of Delaware, did he? Where are his notes? Where are the 302s? Where did the investigation go? If I'm the judge, I don't accept this deal again, even if both sides agree and even if we can resolve this one issue. I want to know, was there a real investigation before he gets blanket immunity for everything?
But listen, I mean, look, I'm a defense attorney, and I've asked every single prosecutor on this show, and I've got more prosecutors on this show tonight, former federal prosecutors, and I lay it out to them if they've ever seen anything like it. And we'll find out tonight we know what the ones have said the last couple of nights. They've never seen any plea agreement like this. We'll find out what the ones say tonight. But here's the thing: when you give immunity to someone as a federal prosecutor, you get something. And they got nothing. This was said to me. What did they get for offering me? I've never seen an immunity with hundreds of thousands of dollars, swirling out there, and who knows what. He didn't give them anything. It wasn't even there was no commitment even to sit down and to tell them everything.
Quite the opposite. This immunity really sends a message: we don't want to hear from you. We don't want you to testify. We don't want you to get other people in trouble. Prosecutors know how to twist arms. And they use immunity as a weapon. They don't give it away for nothing. And here it seems to have been given away for nothing, especially since they had an open and shut case against him. It's not as if people come in, I've done this on many occasions. I go into the prosecutor and I say, look, you're not going to win this case. Here's our defense, A, B, C, D. Here are the witnesses. And I scare the prosecutor into making a good deal. There was nothing here to scare the prosecutor. The case on the guns was open and shut, a documentary case. The case on the taxes was essentially admitted. So there was nothing to bargain with. And yet he got this apparently total immunity, and he's going to get the total immunity.
One quick question. Should there be a special counsel investigating David Weiss, the U.S. attorney, on this and how he handled this?
Where does it stop now? No, I think it's better if the judge just calls. If the judge calls him in and says, look, you said this, you said that. What investigation did you do? The judge could even do it in camera if he says, look, I can't tell you about the investigation. But if the investigation is over, he can't. And they're going to be called in front of Congress, too. And they're going to have to disclose how extensive the investigation it was. And I don't think it was very.
Well, I was less suspicious until I saw the agreement. Now, frankly, it's like, there's some pretty unusual things going on. Professor Alan Dershowitz, thank you, sir.
Thank you.